There is a problem with an illegitimate union. It's a very big problem. Why? Because of the offsprings that come through that union. It is even worse when they are deceived into the union. You know, some people, they just moved in, she got pregnant, the father chased her out of the house, and she just moved in with a guy. They are not married, they didn't do anything, they've just been living together for 20 years, just giving birth to more children. There is a problem. But our religious leaders need to know better. What you can do is they will tell them to go and marry first. Go and marry. Either do court marriage or do traditional marriage. Have you paid bride price? So let me go straight to business. How do I start? I will start or continue to discuss OMOSEBI. How are you? Adiola. What this is Chinelusi 19. Sir, please, I wish you could come to talk to some students at St. Francis Catholic School, Idimu. I think they need to learn from your wealth of experience. Not a bad idea, but it will be in March because of this cash and fuel situation, because of the unrest. We have decided to move everything that has to do with our school outreach program, secondary schools. We moved it to March. So don't worry, just send me a message. So quickly, back to my topic of illegitimacy. Great, awesome. Thank you very much. I don't know, I think the data just, the Wi-Fi just went. Let me, yes, we are live and good. So, ladies and gentlemen, I talked about illegitimacy. I talked about an illegitimate union. And I don't understand. A lot of people have been sending their marriage certificates to me. And ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people are not married. They don't know. I don't even understand how this is possible. Ever since the program on Saturday, people have been sending marriage certificates that were gotten from their churches. The church is not authorized by law to join people in holy matrimony. The church is not even authorized by the Bible. The pastor is not authorized in the Bible to join people in matrimony. Traditionally, the pastors are not empowered to join people in matrimony. Traditionally, it is the family. By the Bible, it is the family. And by law of the land, it gives the sole right to the marriage registry, except a church has applied to the Ministry of Interior to be a licensed agent to conduct weddings. And there are very few churches. So what happens is that the church gives them a wedding certificate that is not legal, and people just think white wedding means it is legal. Let me start all over again, because this is really a problem. I have to go back to this matter. According to the Nigerian legal system, the Marriage Act is the legislation that is the Marriage Act of 2004, is the legislation that controls and regulates the celebration of marriages in Nigeria. The Act recognizes only two kinds of marriages. Number one, marriage under the Act, which is called court marriage, which is carried out in a marriage registry. And then the second marriage is traditional marriage or Sharia marriage. So there is no such thing as white wedding in the Nigerian Marriage Act. There is no such thing. The law does not recognize it. It is illegal. It simply is an act by a religious body, an illegal act. They are not authorized to marry, to wed people. So this is the problem. People just say, I want white wedding, I want white wedding, I want white wedding. They go to their churches. The church joins them together in a union that is not recognized by law. So I talked about this last week, and people just started sending me. I started seeing all kinds of names. Evangelistic clinical ministries, marriage certificate. These are false. Ladies and gentlemen, all these things people send to me. A lady after 22 years of marriage, 3 children, sent me the marriage certificate. I said, Madam, you are not married. You are living in fornication. You are not legally married. He said, but the church is not authorized. And this is my problem with these pastors. They know that they are not authorized to marry people. They know. But they will still tell you to come and give an illegal certificate. Now, do you know what? It is called fraud. It is a criminal offense to issue a certificate that only the state can issue, is authorized to issue. It is called fraud, and it is a criminal offense. You can sue the church for fraudulent misrepresentation. I am telling you, you can sue the church because what they are doing, they are not authorized to do it. It is fraud. People now come. You know what even opened this can of worms? I knew it, but I would think that people would do their traditional marriage first before they go to. And now some people did not even do traditional, they just did white wedding, church wedding, because a lot of us are religious. They just go, and 4 divorce cases that myself and my partners were supposed to handle, and we told them, bring your marriage certificate home so that we can attach it to your divorce petition. That is how I saw Christ by the Wayside Ministries. I said, so I called, I said, your marriage certificate go on. That's when he said, that is it. And I wrote Christ Kiniko marriage certificate. I said, this is not a marriage certificate. Is this what you, okay, did you do traditional? No. Did you do court? No. This? I'm sorry, we cannot file for divorce because under the law, you were not married in the first place. And the woman looked at all the domestic violence and abuse she has been going through, the 3 years, 3 children she's had to suffer for, only to find out that she did all this suffering in vain. She just cut the phone. There is no divorce process needed. You can walk away because you were not married in the first place. It is mad. And let me tell you what an illegitimate union is. I wrote it down here. It is a form of cohabitation where a man and woman live together as married, but whose relationship is not formally recognized, ratified, or supported by the dominant laws and religion of that country. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know that even the Bible does not give pastors the authority to join people in marriage? From Genesis to Revelations, there has not been one marriage celebrated in the temple, in the synagogue. Marriages, according to Jewish law, were celebrated in the family house. Let us look at it. Solomon married 700 wives, none in the temple. I mean, how would you even be going to the temple 700 times with 700 different women? When Jesus turned water to wine at the marriage feast, it was called a marriage feast. It was a celebration. It was in the family house. He turned water to wine. He did not turn it to wine in the temple, because marriages were not held in the temple. Go to, is it 1 Timothy that tells you of the position of a pastor? That he that desires the position of a bishop desires a noble thing. He must be husband to one wife. He must be patient. He must be... All that written there is in 1 Timothy, I think 2 or so. None is written that he has the authority to join people together in holy matrimony. It is not there. The Bible does not give them the power. So where is the basis? What is the basis? Their authority. And the funny thing is that they will say, by the powers conferred upon me. So I asked, I said, powers conferred on you by who? Is it by God? Is it by the state? Is it by tradition? None. Nothing confers that power on them. You see, the issue is they know. A lot of them know, because the pastors were not married in their churches. They were married in the registry, and they did traditional marriage. But instead of them to tell people, you know what, it's either you marry traditionally, that means payment of bride price. Without payment of bride price, there is no traditional marriage. Once you have paid the bride price, the family hands over, you are legally married. You don't need any other thing, you are legally married. Or you go to the registry. Every local government office has a marriage registry. You go there and you get married. It's either of these two. It is a problem. By the time I got home, see all kinds of pictures people were taking. So now, funny enough, I know two people who just packed and left, because they were in an abusive pseudo-marriage that did not exist in the first place. So they were looking at how to separate. They don't need all that, because they are not legally married. There are people that have lived together for 15 years just in coitus. That is fornicating. That is, they were living in a sexual romp. Olusegun 347, we are just copying foreign culture, blindly neglecting our own authentic culture. Now, I don't know if I told you the origin of the word white wedding. The word white wedding came from when Queen Victoria got married. She chose to use a white lace material, and which was in contrast to the predecessors who used purple, who used other exotic color. You know, purple is the color for royalty. But she used white. So it was then the elites referred to it as white wedding, because she wore a white lace. That is what white wedding means, the white lace worn by Queen Victoria. Olusegun, but you think local governments empowered pastors to do so? Which local government empowers? The local government cannot empower pastors. It is the Ministry of Interior that will give you apply. You know, it was delegated to, by law, by constitution. Marriages should be conducted by the marriage registry in the local government office. That is why when they took Ikoyi registry, which is under the federal government, to court, it was said directly that it was in contradiction of the law. Ikoyi registry has no authority, because It is marriage is under the exclusive list for the local government. So what that meant is that all marriages conducted in the Ikoyi registry are voidable. That means the moment you choose not to recognize the marriage certificate, then it becomes void. If you choose to recognize it, then it becomes valid. It shows you that if anybody were to challenge your marriage, your marital status, they would win, because every marriage there has been declared voidable. So therefore, it is the local governments that are empowered. The local government does not empower another person. It is the Ministry of Interior. So don't get it twisted. You just go to the local government and you tell them, but well, I don't know how they do it there. If they would empower you, they don't have that. You apply. It is under the ministry. There's a Ministry of Interior that, all that is under their jurisdiction. So you can apply if you're a religious body, a pastor or something, and then you would be licensed to do so. But whenever they sign, you still have to take copies of the marriage, the signing of that marital certificate. If you are the pastor, you still have to take that copy to the local government marriage registry. After you see them, they will give the couple that go and drop it at the marriage registry, because that is the ultimate location, or that is the ultimate body empowered to conduct. So, ladies and gentlemen, white wedding is fraud. Any church that tells you to do that is a fraud, and you can sue them for fraudulent misrepresentation. It is fraud. You are not empowered to, but yet you are issuing certificates that you are not empowered to, making people believe that they are legally married, but they are not. I've told someone who has been married for 24 years thinking they are married, only to find out that they are not. I've told them to sue the church. They should sue the church. Why would you issue a certificate that you are not authorized by law to do so? Now, let me move to part 2 of what I wanted to talk about. So, last Saturday, while I had the program, while on the radio, I have a younger brother, Aburo, not biological, but, he's like a brother. He reached out to me and he was saying, Egbon, I was in a downfall bus from Langasa, that is after Aja, coming to Lekki. And I just heard your program. It was last Saturday, there was the marathon was going on. He said that when he heard, he now told the driver that, is it that you just tuned to this program, or is this? The driver said, Olumide, I don't miss it. That I listen to him every, and that now one passenger we carry for some time, that was in the bus, and just told him that, please, is your radio working? That please, can you turn to 99.3? And that's how he started listening to it. There was a passenger that told him to do, and since then, that is like 5-6 months now, he has been listening to it every Saturday. So he was telling me that my program had gone global, but so they had to park somewhere because of the marathon. The roads were closed. So everybody in the bus was now listening to it. And then there was an argument when I now said that church marriages, that is white weddings, are illegal. That one man said is a lie, that the church blessing is more important than the father's blessing in traditional marriage, that the church blessing is the most important. That is how an argument broke out in the church. And the man said, your spiritual father's blessing is more important than any other blessing. That if they don't take the matter to church, and the church, that So when they were arguing with him, he now said, I'm a pastor and I'm telling you. So everybody now said, oh. That the argument got so heated that somebody almost assaulted the pastor from the back. That now they deceive people. So this is the second time I would hear in the space of 5 days someone saying that your spiritual father's blessing, which is your church pastor, is more important than your father's blessing, that is in marriage. There is a problem with Christianity where people take hook, line, and sinker every title that is given or proclaimed by themselves. You see a pastor of one church, one small church, he will refer to himself as general overseer. And then people now have said, I meet my pastor, he's my spiritual father. Let me even start with that. Spiritual father. Please, if you are with the Bible, can you open to Hebrews chapter 12 verse 9? Just note it down. Hebrews chapter 12 verse 9. I will read in the New International Version. Moreover, we have all had human fathers who disciplined us, and we respected them for it. How much more should we submit to the Father of our spirits and live? Let me read the Amplified Version. Moreover, we have had earthly fathers who disciplined us, and we yielded to them and respected them for training us. Shall we not much more cheerfully submit to the Father of spirits, and so truly live? My emphasis is on the word spiritual father, father of spirits. So, now I want to read from the Passion Bible. And isn't it true that we respect our earthly fathers even though they corrected and disciplined us? Then we should demonstrate an even greater respect for God, our spiritual father, as we submit to his life-changing discipline. God is referred to in the Bible as our spiritual father. But you, ladies and gentlemen, refer to your pastors as your spiritual father because the man said, that's my daughter, I am her spiritual father. You don't understand that idolatry, men taking on the title of God and then their own congregation calling them the spiritual father. Let me tell you what will happen. When you now pray to God, God will look at your prayer and tell you, don't worry, your spiritual father, Shebi, your pastor is your spiritual father. He will answer your prayer. And then Christians get to be frustrated when it seems as if answer is delayed. But why will God answer when you have given his title to a man? How can a man be your spiritual father? Someone that will fall sick, someone that will die, someone that cannot protect himself from armed robbers is your own spiritual father. Listen, let me read it again. Hebrews chapter 12 verse 9. The Passion Bible. And isn't it true that we respect our earthly fathers? You would see that fathers there is plural, meaning that we have or are allowed to have more than one father. Let me explain. Merriam-Webster describes being a father as being possible under three circumstances. Number one, the biological father of a child, that is by blood. Second, by adoption, you can be a father by adopting a child. Third, you can be a father by being the one who raises the child. For example, the father dies and another person raises the child. That man who raised, protected, and provided for the child is referred to as the child's father. Then adoption, though you did not give birth, you can adopt and then be a father. So being a father is by three different ways, under three different categories. So the Bible also tells you that you have fathers. So the pastor can be a father to you because he trained you and taught you the scripture, taught you how to pray, taught you how to speak. So he can be a father. But how dare he arrogate from being an earthly father to a spiritual father? The title Hebrews chapter 12 verse 9 gives to God and God alone. Now that is what this pastor is telling people in the bus, that the blessing of them, your spiritual father, is more than the blessing of your earthly father. Let me even break that down. All through scripture, there has been nothing like spiritual father. It is a strange phenomenon to the Bible because there is only one spiritual father, which is God in heaven. Now, number two, let me even say the pastor. From generation to generation, the Bible has been popular on the blessing of a father. Abraham blessed Isaac. Then Isaac blessed Jacob. Then Jacob blessed, and that was how the 12 tribes of Israel became a father's blessing. When it came to Esau and Jacob, you remember when one sold his birthright for a morsel of meat and took the blessing. It was not a blessing from their pastor or prophet. It was a father's blessing. And they became according to the blessings of their father. But here you now have pastors arrogating themselves as greater than the person whom God entrusted you to, which is your biological father, who by scripture you can make reference and bless your child in line with the tradition of scripture, that a father's blessing is as potent as God himself blessing you. But then the position of a father is so important that God in the Bible is referred to as the father of the fatherless, a friend that sticks closer than a brother. He is father. He is the generational God, the God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob, and all of them refer to God as their heavenly father. It is in Nigeria that I will see Christians arrogate spiritual father to a man because what? He pastors your church. Do you even know him? Do you know where he came from? Do you know what? A man that cannot even, that is riding in a bulletproof car because he cannot even protect himself, is your spiritual father. I tell people, and I use this very simple explanation. You see, when a fan is rolling, a fan is spinning, blowing. When you put off that fan, it keeps spinning, even though it has been cut from power supply. It keeps spinning, but what you will notice is that it is not spinning as fast as it is. It will keep rolling. You might still be feeling air, but it has been cut from the power supply. A lot of you, ladies and gentlemen, and these pastors have been totally cut from power supply. But your fan is still spinning and you think that God is, you are praying, you are still seeing miracles, you are doing this, but deep down you would know that it is not like before. Every pastor that answers as a spiritual father is called idolatry. You have placed yourself on the throne of God, and it's the same thing the devil wanted, to be as God, to put his throne higher than God. And you have to be careful. That is why I tell people the Bible is there. Whenever you want to do Bible study, never confine yourself to one version. Use the King James, use the New International Version, use the Amplified Version, get the Passion Bible. It is very, very, very important. Those four scriptures, then you can add whichever one you want to. It is very important. You have as a foundation those four Bibles. There's an app you can download like the parallel Bible. It has the Amplified King James, New King James, New International Version, and New Living Translation, so that you can break it down. The Passion Bible is very important. It only has 3 Old Testament translated. They could only translate 3. That's Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, I think, Ecclesiastes and 1. But they translated all the New Testament. It is in very clear English. It is very explanatory. The moment you read it, you understand what they've been trying to say. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to read, because you are all guilty. The pastor right there, and that is why let me tell you, there are several good pastors, but they are 4%. 4%. 4% of 100%. These people don't know jack. You just wake up and you now call yourself spiritual father. Of who? Of what? And then you two will be saying, my spirit, what happened to the name that he is? He is pastor, which means in Hebrew, shepherd. That is all he is. He is pastor. He teaches the word. God gave him the gift. Know that in the pastoral ministry, you can also desire to be a pastor. It is there in 1 Timothy that if you desire the post of a bishop is also referred to as shepherd, is also referred to as pastor. If you desire, that means the pastoral is the only one that you can desire. The 5-fold ministry, you have the apostles, you have the prophets, you have the evangelists, you have the pastors, and then you have the teachers. The pastors is number 4. And it is the only one that you can desire, not necessarily be called. You can desire. There are those that are called to it. There's a lot that just desired it. I have somebody on my street who saw his pastor being gifted with a plot of land, and at another time someone bought a car, and he said, he too is going to be a pastor, so that people can be giving him, like play. Next thing I heard, he has gone to the school of the seminary also, and he's a priest now, because they gave a pastor a plot of land. Someone dashed him, and that was his motivation. People are there for different reasons. And then he comes and says, I'm your spiritual father. And you bow to him as a spiritual father, the position that it is that only belongs to God. Then you pray, watch and wait if God would answer. It's idolatry. You call another man by his name, God will leave him to answer your prayer. That is by the way. So this pastor in the bus was arguing with my people that the church wedding weighs more than even parental traditional wedding. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have been fooled enough. I think we have been ignorant enough. I think it is time for us to at least, the Bible says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. It is time for us to just pick up the law. Study the law, know what the states, what is a crime in your country, and make sure you do not toe the line. Before you become, they say ignorance of the law is no excuse. How can you just go to the school of the seminary, and then, they give you a Bible, you're a pastor, and next thing you are conducting marriage. Did you even ask, are we licensed? Are we authorized? Or anybody can conduct marriage? And you come to the stage and say, by the powers vested in me, I declare you husband. Vested in you by who? Not the state, not the Bible, not tradition. So who gave you the power? This is trouble, ladies and gentlemen. You don't understand how bad it is. A lot of people thought they were married. Now, what they had been doing was living in coitus, that is, living for sexual pleasure, living together in a house, breeding illegitimate children. Now, the worst are these illegitimate children bred by an illegitimate union. Why? It is difficult for God to protect. It is difficult for God to bless that. God cannot bless the union because it is illegal. So children born in that, I did a very concise study. Look at, just check it out. The prison is full of men that grew up by a single mother, a single parent, or in an illegitimate union. The parents were not married. It was just boyfriend, girlfriend. They had them. These are children that become very easy targets for the miscreants in society. If you believe in demons, if you believe in the evil influence, it is easy to catch these children because they have no covering. They were products of illegitimate. You see, it is different from when the parents were not married. They were father and with boyfriend, girlfriend, they slept together, they conceived a child, and they did not marry, they were not living together. And after they conceived the child, they did not marry, or I would just send my own, take care of the child. That one is a totally different matter, because there was no illusion of husband and wife. There was no illegitimate union. So they maintained their position as father and as mother. So as father, he can pray. As mother, she can cover. But when they now come in an illegitimate union that is not recognized by religion, it is not recognized by tradition, it is not recognized by law, and they remain in that environment every day, in fornication, in coitus, giving birth to children that cannot have cover because of the condition they are in. God is too holy to behold sin. How can God come into a house? It's like you go to a brothel and you start a prayers in a brothel where men just come to sleep and, wine, drink, and coitus. That is the same thing with that house. Children born there are born in the wild. They are roadkill. It is easy. These are prey for the society. Look at the Alemanjari system of the North. Awolowo told them that your children that you refuse to train, you refuse to send to school, will cause your children not to rest. So now the Alimanjaris, those ones that were just born, give by the roadside, then religion will send them into the streets to go, and they are now the Boko Haram. They are so easy to be preyed upon and plucked by strange ideologies, strange friends, they are just plucked, and then they become the menace to the society.